Hi and welcome to Violet Connie Art. I've finally gotten some acrylic wash. I got it in the mail. It is just a tiny little sample pack, but it's Holbein's acrylic wash. And I got it from Jackson's Art Supplies, and it came in this cute little package of 12 milliliter tubes, and it's a primary mixing set. This is it here. I'm going to leave a link to this exact set in the description. I think it cost me about $15 Australian. I might pop on the screen somewhere how much that is in American dollars and in Great British pounds, so that'll be up here somewhere. Started out by swatching these colours over a black line that I put on my paper, and I'm using a Strathmore mixed media sketchbook that I got ages ago, but I've just not filled it up, so I'm planning on trying to use it and fill it up more. And yeah, each one was mostly opaque. The black definitely was. The red really kind of was. The white was mostly, but you can see a little bit through it. I think maybe I needed to go a bit darker. But I think if I just layered them up, then they would be opaque enough for what I want to use them for, which is just a little bit of mucking around and playing in my sketchbook. So I wanted to be really sparing with the paints because they are such teeny tiny tubes, and I wanted to get a good feel of how they are to use. One thing I did struggle with though was the water to paint ratio, which I think I always struggled with even with normal gouache as well. It's just difficult for me to find that, probably a little bit more so with these ones. So in this little pack, it came with a titanium white, which was a PW6. The black was called Jet Black, and it was a PBK1. The blue was called Sky Blue, and it was a PB15. The yellow was a lemon yellow, and it was a PY3. And the red was a carmine, which is PR107. So it came with a nice little primary set. The one thing I am a little disappointed in, which you will see when I'm doing this color wheel here, is there wasn't a great purple from this. The greens were really lovely. The oranges were beautiful, but the purple was really, wasn't very vibrant. It was a very dark purple, and when you add white to it, it just looked kind of a greyish purple, which is okay, but I would have preferred to have a nicer, quite a little bit more vibrant purple in the mix. So to make this colour wheel, I just added a little bit more and less of the colours between each of the three primaries to see the variations I could get with those two colours mixed together. I didn't do a 3-colour mix, but I've got a pretty good grasp on colour theory, and well, I hope I do, to get to the colours I needed, but I just wanted to have a visual of what these exact colours look like when they're mixed together. One thing I did have a little bit of trouble with when using these was that they tended to dry out really quite fast. And because they're acrylic paints, I wasn't able to reactivate them once they dried out, so I could see these being used up a lot faster than normal gouache. So then after I did my colour wheel, I decided to sketch out a couple of things and just play around with the paint that was left on the palette to not waste it. I wanted to really try and push the purples to see if I could get a nice and lighter purple. So here you can see I drew a quick little flower, and it still was really quite dark after adding a lot of white. Then I also had added even more white in the under petals, and it still was really quite dark, so not much I could do to get a really nice light purple using this limited palette. So after I did my little flower, I just played around a little bit more. I added some highlights on my flower, and I also painted a rose and kind of a fish from a top view. Nothing too strenuous, but what I actually do with these paints afterwards is, it is mermaid at the moment, so I decided to paint a mermaid, and I've really wanted to paint Ariel from The Little Mermaid since Mermaid has started, so that's exactly what I did. And can I tell you, oh my gosh, I have had some technical problems making this video. For some reason, when I was doing this drawing, the camera did, I don't know what, but it would not let me put it into the editing program and edit it. And it took me for ages to figure out which file clip was actually the one that was corrupted that wouldn't allow me to process the whole entire video. And so I ended up chopping it down in the hope that I would be able to use some of the footage, which I was able to. So that was really lucky to get some of the sketch footage out. I used a reference photo to sketch out Ariel. I just got one off Google Images and sketched her out with Flounder, the little fishy. And then painted her in really block form, and I initially was going to paint her out with in block form and then put all the shadows and highlights on and then paint over the line work with a really fine brush. But I found that this paint is really kind of chunky, making it really difficult to get any fine detail with any consistency, at least with the brushes that I had and with the steadiness of my hand. So after I completed the whole entire thing, which we'll see in a later shot of the video, I lined it in some Staedtler fine liners, which were in different colors to match as best I could with the supplies that I had, the colors that I used to paint her body color and her skin. So you'll see that at the end, but again, I had some technical difficulties, and most of that, I think I lined part of her hair, and it ended up being chopped out because I ran out of space on my camera. With learning any new art supply, I found it really difficult at first, and I actually thought that I didn't like using the acrylic gouache over normal gouache. But as I got into the swing of it a bit, and I bought myself a nice fresh set of brushes to use specifically with this at the end part, I found it a lot smoother going, a lot nicer to paint with, and I really enjoyed the fact that I could layer light highlights and dark shadows over my previous painted parts without having to worry about the colors lifting. So it's drawing to the end of this video because I didn't get to line much of this before my camera ran out of space, and I didn't realize until I'd finished lining it. And I really like how she turned out in the end. I got some final shots of her with Flounder at the end with all the line art on, and it really just makes it stand out so much. I'm so pleased with it. The liners went over the top of the acrylic gouache really well. With normal gouache, it just clogs up the nibs of the felt tip liner pens, and so it just makes everything a little bit difficult and you ruin your art supplies. So I was actually really pleased that I was able to do that. And here I am just quickly spotting in the shine in each of their eyes, and I think it just really makes their little eyes come alive when they've got a little white dot inside each one. And the funny thing is I really like The Little Mermaid, but I actually don't remember ever watching The Little Mermaid as a child. But it's something that I watched as an adult, and I actually rewatched it again the other day with my son, Mr. D, and we really enjoyed watching that together. It's a really cute kind of story. And here is my final artwork. I really love the matte look of the gouache paints, and I really enjoyed painting Ariel. It was so much fun, and I love the end result. It just looks so fresh and beautiful and crisp. Today's shout out goes to Dina Tollefson. She is an amazing artist. She is very generous in sharing knowledge about how to sell art and how to be an artist, which is absolutely great, and her paintings are magnificent. She has her own style called Daubism, which is just fabulous. It just looks so vibrant and lovely, and it's gorgeous. So go and check out her channel with the link in the description and tell her Connie says hi. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the little bell so you're notified every single time I put a new video up. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!